rooster croweth. Well, we've been up for a while now. We, not, I don't get to sleep like everybody else, but I was looking at a couple videos. Everything that I look at only leads me to one thing: problem with the way that we see or perceive our God, and then because of the error in that, um, we suffer because of it. Everything, nothing is spared. These people are on here talking about physics and alternate realities and NPC, non-participating something, whatever, right? And I guess what I'm trying to say is that everybody is participating in this thing, and yeah, it's a bilateral design. You know, it's the book and the scriptures can define it for you and teach you about it, but the lights just flickered. Um, I'm going to rephrase that statement. Just because the lights flickered, um, the book can't teach you. It's a great tool, but it is through your spirit that you'll come to know God. if and that doesn't mean that everybody is not going to know God. Everybody will. It just uh, you're going to know Him as kind and good and loving, present, everlasting, worthy, just, kind, everything, right? Or you're going to see Him as everything from non-existent, complacent, inactive, mute, void, even formless, irrelevant. and that last part, irrelevant, is where the mistake comes in, because it can be seen in so many different ways. It's like people they want you to show God to me. I can't. I can only show you a book that talks about Him, and I can align that with history and show you why it is as it is, right? And I'm not talking about wars and very specific things where they're literally fighting over religion. I'm talking about just where you flat out deny the things that God has said and so on. Um, the food pyramid of the United States is a perfect example of that, because the food pyramid was designed by a young man who was a Surgeon General. His name was Ansel Keys. And when Eisenhower had his heart attack, this very smart and young aspiring Surgeon General said, "Hey, I'm going to go and let's go." He was good with his research. So he looked around the world and he says, "Well, who doesn't have heart disease? Is there anybody around that, and what kind of people are they? What do they eat?" Right? That's what he was interested in. Fat around your heart must come from eating fat, right? Well, kind of, sort of. It comes from eating the wrong fats, but it can also come from eating nothing that's fat at all. It can come from carbohydrates, which get stored as fat, and then we grow and grow and grow, and nobody ever empties the fridge out with a little bit of fasting and so on. But yeah. Um, so he found Ansel Keys finds the people with the answer he's looking for. Ansel Keys, answer keys. But he finds the answer on a Greek Orthodox island, and then adopts that diet to become the food pyramid of the United States because it's healthy. If it's good for our president, it's good for us. We should incorporate this into the whole thing. Well, guess what? It just so turns out that he went during Lent when this information was decided on what they were eating. They walked away with the Lenten diet, which is nothing of what they ate as a Mediterranean diet during the off season, or the, I don't know how you want to put it. Um, so there you go. So everywhere where we forget about God, He'll show up anyway. Pandemic is another example of that. Uh, if we would have followed the old school laws, which kind of came into place a little bit, they tried to do a little bit of social distancing. You have to start out that way because you have to let some people conquer the disease. Then they become then the factories and the source code for the immune systems to then populate resistance. You have to have a winner, somebody who's conquered it, in order to build upon it, right? Hint, hint. If you can't find somebody that's beaten a thing, how do you expect to fight it? You're just another one stepping up to the plate, and maybe you'll win your battle. But if the point is I don't battle and look forward. When I do, I am cognizant of what's behind me as well, and I make sure I don't back up and step on it. And if in some cases I might even, as I'm plowing forward, I'll reach my hand back and go, "Hey, come with me. you deserve a better way." And it's like been sitting here right in front of our faces for thousands of years, and we don't see ourselves as being participants in the grand scheme of what we seek, our heaven, right? A better place for not only us but our future, our kids, and everybody else. We can't expect God to fix things if we, this is what's referred to as trampling the outer courts. Okay, um, and I'm very sorry to inform people, but when it talks about, you know, when Jesus was talking about Jews that say they're Jews and weren't, I don't know very many Jews on this planet. Um, I really don't. I know very, very few. I think I've met one, maybe one. And yeah, this guy is he's the epitome of humbleness. You know, he was begging our leader online, begging our leader to help with something that he should be able to help with. And the guy's like just a wreck. His beard's all full of snot, and he's crying, and it's not very, I don't know, nothing to be, what is it? How's it put? Um, we esteemed him not, nothing that we should esteem him. Yeah, the guy looked like a wreck, but the reality is he shouldn't be driven to that level to get the assistance that he needs, right? That we all need. And so we're turned against each other. This, what we're experiencing right now, that one, the one that we're currently in, but sadly the one of laughter is going to start with sorrows, because we have taken the great sword, this thing, and it has robbed the earth of its peace. Everything from the earth that we walk upon to the peace of mind to those who can actually understand it, because it speaks of a mission for us and things we should do, things we should aspire to. If we go around kicking ourselves in the ass as to say, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, I got to wait for somebody else. All those things are in the New Testament. When John is in prison, what is it? What is the ultimate happens to him? He loses his head. The problem is he lost his head, his headship, his guide, to understand God, He lost that before he lost his head. And that's what the sign of John was. But John, you have to remember, John represents the Spirit. He's the dove, right? And that dove, the Spirit of God, um, it might be sent out as a dove, but it doesn't have to act that way. That Spirit of the Lord is capable of the best blessings you could ever have, all the way to destruction and annihilation to where, you wish you never existed. That's the Spirit of the Lord. The dove landing on somebody and resting is then that person understands the Lord. That person understands how he works at all times. He works in the light, but he also works in the darkness. I don't see a battle going on here as much as we have, our eyes are open. We see evil. We think it's, evil is what it is, but it's necessary. And there you go. So, like, when I listen to people talking about NPC and all this matrix stuff and everything, it's like at the nuts and bolts level, and me having consciousness and the ability to think, right? I have to take whatever, we even believe that our universe started as a small seed and then boom, it expanded. That pattern is repeated everywhere, every 9 months after the Big Bang, it's like life starts. It starts to unfold. A brand new seed is released into time, and that person starts to interact with everything. And everybody's important. What happens if the grain of sand gets into that thing and he's in the gears and making a mess? Well, I don't know. If it's an oyster, it'll wind up as a pearl eventually. But that one person that's neglected or not thought about, considered, they become the part that crumbles, because you can build on sand, but only if all the bits of sand are willing to cooperate with each other and make themselves into a rock. And that's what it is. We've been given a guide and a way to find God or to know God. And that word is rough, K-N-O-W, because when a man knows a woman, she produces fruit. If Jesus is knowing you, in other words, he's producing your fruit. That's why when he talks to Peter, it's expressed as a sexual relationship. It's the only way you can explain how it happens. If you're going to think filthiness, well then I'm sorry. I feel bad for you, because you're missing out on being able to logically understand a book that's ruining our world. And we'll continue to do that until we cooperate with the book. Who can fight it? This is the beast right here. The beast that came from the sea. And who can fight against it? I don't know. It never says anything, but it's always right. Uh, tells me about things about time that appear magically and on cue, and even with literal number timestamps and things like 400 years of this and 20 years of that and 40 years of this. It's like, how it's if to deny that there isn't some kind of machine at work right in our hands is madness. um I'm not professing to be able to fly through the sky and everything yet. Well, I have actually, if you want to count, like in a helicopter, or on an airplane, um, or tossed off of a bicycle or something, maybe. Um, walked on water, sure. Um, you can walk in water. If there's ground underneath it, you're kind of on top of it. If it's the middle of January and you're in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, it's frozen. You can walk on the thing. And then there's people driving around on trucks. And it's like, Uh, maybe you should get that off of there. I don't know. It's like, no, you can drive around on an eggshell. Just don't make a crack in it, because that's when it gets bad. But, the forces of light and dark, day and night, how can you fight against that? You can't. You can't. So when it says things like the covenants of day and night and mentions things like that, you know, that's very important, because that's one of those if statements. That this book is like a computer program. It has if statements all through it. And it's like a crossroad. If you do this, then we get to head in this direction. Stop stop personalizing it to think that I'm going to be blessed. Just think of like a row of sheep, or people walking along, or the world itself, right? When you hit one of those ifs, the whole thing is going to go in this direction, or it's going to go in the other direction. It's if or, you know, and and the or doesn't even help you, because inactivity is idleness, and you're even judged for that. You know, when it says we're judged on our words, the words that you speak are more important than just they have an effect. They can't really return to you until their purpose is fulfilled, right? Does that mean I have the power of God or something like that? I don't know. What is the purpose of that? If your purpose is good, you should expect it to come back to you as good. If your purpose is wrong, well, then you should expect it to fade away, to just go away. It doesn't have to return back to you as, being that. It just was sent out to do what it was supposed to do. And that's good and evil. The Lord, that book describes both good and evil. He sends out, call. What happens when he sends evil out, right? And what is a house divided against itself will not stand. So when he does send out evil, the purpose of the evil is to mix up with other evil. They destroy each other. Like when Abraham, remember when Abraham was going in the fight? He didn't even get in there. It took 318 people. And that even that number is important. 318 people. 300 people, good people. 18 people. 666 is 18. Okay. That's a triad of just men. And those two numbers kind of don't go together, but they will. And then you don't even have to do anything. You sit still and follow God's law, and the law starts to work in front of you. You're like Neo. You're standing here, and people are going, you're not dodging bullets because you have the power to deflect them. They can't even reach you because you represent good and you stand proud, and everybody's trying to tear you down, and they got nothing against you. You just got to make sure that, you know, you're either brutally honest going forward at some point in your life to where you sever that line to the past and nobody can drag you down, or I guess you kind of go on your own and you do what you do and think you can get away with something. But everything that you do that's wrong is something that somebody can pick up and come to attack you with. And that's what I'm telling you. Nobody's got shit on me. Nothing. Do you know how good it feels to be able to go, come through here, rip through my whole life, look at anything that you want. You're going to find nothing to accuse me of or to burn me down with, or nothing. Why? I'm afraid of the law. I follow the laws of the land. I pay my taxes. I do all the shit I'm supposed to do. Does that make me a pussy? No, I'm doing what the Bible says. Follow the laws of the land. Huh. It works. I don't get it. It's could be that simple. You know, if I was E.F. Hutton, everybody be over here, their ears all stuck in there so much, I'd be able to see all the potatoes and stuff, right? When it comes to dough, then everybody wants it. But the kingdom we're looking for ain't made of money, you know? But tell you what, give somebody those scriptures. Oh, cashless society. Woo-hoo. It's like, oh, if you could understand the dangers of cash, right? What makes you a participant in creation? The spirit. Something drives you and causes you to say, I'm going to go to work today. Could be your kids, it could be anything, right? Some people need to make money just so they can throw it away. You know, I got to make lots of money so I can go gamble. And I might make a bunch more, but I might not. But it's fun, just taking chances. Everybody has a purpose. Nobody is spared. And as soon as you throw the reward and the money thing into it, well, what happens is that pauses the effects of your spirit. You know, your spirit causes you to do something. If you get paid for what you did and then throw that in the thing, that's like taking your manna. That's like taking the manna that fell from heaven and trying to store it for tomorrow. And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't do as good. I can put it in the bank, it'll earn some interest and kind of thing. But really, you know, there's nothing like showing up at that moment when somebody needs you with exactly what they need and being the hero. No matter what it is, you could be jumping out of a fire truck. You could be hanging off of a rope, dangling underneath a helicopter, trying to, reach somebody that's, you know, decided to go trying to surf in a culvert, in California because the waves aren't crazy enough for you. Know, I gotta surf in mud and who knows what else could be in there, bicycles and then they get themselves in trouble and here comes somebody else that what actually has compassion for you because if they didn't they'd go, you idiot, serves them right, survival of the fittest, get me out of here, there's nothing here, Scotty, and away you go. No, these people are showing up going, hey, you were just trying to have fun, you made a mistake, it doesn't matter, you're alive, I got to help you, I have to help you because you're alive, because inside of you is the same thing that makes me tick, the breath of life. And I'm not going to judge you on how you're using it. You could have the grandest purpose somewhere down the road somewhere. The whole purpose of your life could have been for God to do nothing but beat you up your whole life, destroy you, to see if you're going to turn against him. And you're like, well, he didn't beat you up, everybody else did. Well, you have to kind of look at that different. Is he not in control? How come he didn't take those people down? How come he didn't whatever? How come he didn't do this? How come? How come? How come? And the trick is yeah, he does already do everything. But there's times when he knows what it's going to take to make you break. You know, people say he only gives you what you can bear. Okay. You know what? You know what you can bear is different from what he wants you to be able to bear. And so he'll load you up until you crack. And then once you do, I don't know, a lot of things come from that. When you start living his way and not your way, things get better. They do. Um, word of caution. I'm not saying your life gets better. What does get better is you have an understanding of things. Me, I understand so much about this place. I wish I was never born to ever have to talk to people or tell anybody anything. Because the way I see it, I can find nobody with teachings like mine that have shown up since Jesus. And it's very troubling to me because he said any time will do. Why has it taken this long? Maybe I'm just one person and I'm just the same as maybe there's been many maybe there's a lot of people just like me all over the planet that can see what I can see, and you're reaching out to everybody with no shame whatsoever. Send an email to the President of the United States. I can save the world. I can show you. Our Bible's screwing us, Commander in Chief, sir, whom I offered my own grave as a veteran when they refused to bury your bones. And I did that. I don't talk shit. I step up to the plate and I throw it all in the damn pot and go, let's go. Let's go. What the hell are we waiting for? All my stuff is just deteriorating here with people sitting on their asses and not riding them into a kingdom. And it's difficult to be able to know all this information, this knowledge, and, and just trying to give it back because we deserve to know this. Otherwise, we're going to ruin ourselves. Fire there. Keep going. You'll figure it out, or you'll burn up and be nothing. It's a wow. It's just a tragedy. I mean, if I seen this, okay, if I seen this, and as I do today, and can understand it the way I do, let's say I was born with a whole lot of money, a lot of money. You want to know what I would do? I would get rid of this. I would make sure I would bury it, burn it, kill anybody that decided they wanted anything to do with it. Because what you've done is you've extracted God from inside of us and put him into a book where he can't defend himself. In here, he can defend himself. How? Because you're going to be the defense of him, aren't you, if he's inside? But once you set him out here, now you've cut the baby in half. You've taken the mind of God, you've written it down, what Daniel was told not to do. And when you do that, disaster. Like I said, I can point all kinds of places, Ansel Keys and our health problem in the US and diabetes and the whole thing. All right? All these times where if we would just have done what God has asked, things go well for us. Just as the book says, we eat from the good of the land, and so on and so on. There you go. Anyway, so that's it. You are a willing participant in creation. Just understand that. Even if you're not. And you're going, well, what do you mean? Well, because you are going to serve regardless of who it is that you claim you believe in, exist or not. You are either going to serve Father God or the father of lies. You're going to serve one or the other. And that's determined by what it is that you do. The son always does what he sees his father doing. And then the question then becomes, who's your daddy? Shalom, shalom.